We have picked through 6 teams in the Big 12, every one of their games, and now it's down to Kansas, Texas Tech, and TCU. Will any of them be able to beat the Bears? This is Locked On Baylor.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Baylor. I am alleged Texas hater 123, and that is also Texas hater 124. Sorry, I beat you to the punch there. Obviously, yesterday's show ruffled some feathers. That's what we both picked Texas at 7-5. If you haven't kept up with us, we have right now picked 6 teams in the Big 12 in their final records. Myself, I got Kansas State at 10-2, Oklahoma State 9-3, Oklahoma 9-3, Texas at 7-5. What's new? Iowa State at 7-5, West Virginia 6-6. So some of these teams at some point down the line gotta be bad. And today we have TCU, Texas Tech, and Kansas. So this show's got to be reserved for those. Cam, we are going to start today with our friends in Lubbock, Texas Tech, a team that I think under Joey McGuire could be not very good. No, I don't think they're going to be great, but they're going to win a couple of games they probably shouldn't, and I like that.
You thought the comments were bad the first 2 days. Whenever anyone on Twitter mutters Texas Tech bad,
yeah, it doesn't
the
go well
West
for
Texas Army gets sick on them, which I appreciate. You know, they care and they like to get down in the mud because they have to. But they're not going to be very, very good.
No,
I don't know what they're hanging their hat on this year. But
Joseph
they seem to think they're
W. McGuire. They like that guy a lot.
Yeah, hit or miss.
They seem to think they're a bowl team while also playing Houston and NC State in the non-conference this year.
Good luck. I just don't know where the wins are coming from, to be honest with you.
So Cam,
I just don't know where they're coming from.
Your registered Joey McGuire truther, am going to toss this guy a couple of bones here because I do think he's going to win at least 2 games. You think, that team may have a good future there at Texas Tech. I like that Joey guy. Week 1 against Murray State. I mean, like maybe a 55-0 shutout. Like, start spreading the news. Joey McGuire's going to win a national title and be 12-0 year 1. You're going to hear it.
Thing about New York. Yeah.
Well, what's going to happen in week 2 against Houston at home? They're going to pull off a big upset. Actually, a really big upset. I've got Texas Tech over Dana Holgorsen in Houston. Yeah, so I that's what I'm thinking. Houston loses to Texas Tech, and folks start thinking, this is a 9-3 Texas Tech team. What are the odds? Until they lose to NC State on the road. They're definitely going to lose that game. NC State's really darn good at football this season. Tech is 2-1, thinking they can beat Texas at a home game. Texas Tech fans, plug your ears. They're going to lose to Texas at home. They're going to go on the road to Kansas State and get shellacked. Well, they thought it was bad then. It's only going to get worse. They're going to lose to Oklahoma State on the road the next week. Their schedule's pretty tough. They get West Virginia at home. I'm sorry, guys. You're going to lose that one, too. I got even worse news for you. Baylor comes to town. You're going to lose that one as well. So poor Texas Tech has now lost 6 straight. They are sitting at 2-6. They got to win out their last 4 to be bowl eligible. Lucky for them, though, they get TCU, who's not good at football. So they're going to be 3-6 after a win against TCU. They're going to get Kansas at home. Things are looking a little easy here. They're going to win that one, 4-6. All you got to do is knock off Iowa State. Not too bad. And then Oklahoma, pretty daunting. Well, I'm going to flip what you may think there. I think they lose to Iowa State, dropping themselves to 4-7. But they beat Oklahoma at home because Brent Venables and company understand they could be playing for Arlington, and they don't do very well in those games, a la last season. And Joey McGuire establishes some sort of, hey, this team can be good in the future by beating Oklahoma. They finish at 5-7, 3-6 in conference play, and that weird bowl eligible. Cam, you look visibly distraught. What say
this is a cop-out.
You?
This is an absolute cop-out. You don't want that West Texas Army sick to you on Twitter. You're like, I want to be happy-go-lucky. Everyone loves Drake Toll on Twitter.
Gambling Gauchos, man.
That's
Shout out.
What you're doing. That was for Gambling Gauchos, who I think is a good account. So please don't come after me either. At least I'm man enough to say it, Drake. You just do it through your picks. Texas Tech, bad.
Yeah,
Texas
they're
Tech,
not going to be great, no.
But they started off 1-0. They beat Murray State. I'm telling you. They lose to Houston. Houston's pissed off from that game last year. NC State, I think, is a real good football team. Yeah. Real good. Kind of all the way around. That's in Raleigh. Carter Finley, kind of a slept on, kind of good atmosphere. Not great, but kind of good atmosphere.
Is that the quarterback?
Yeah, you wish. I don't know who their quarterback is. But they were good last year, and I know they bring a lot of guys back. Versus UT, I already picked that yesterday as a shock Red Raider victory. Even though it's not a presidential election year, which used to be the only time they would beat UT, they do win this time. At Kansas State, loss. At Oklahoma State, loss. Versus West Virginia, they're like circling that, like maybe we get a win there. At home, they don't. That's a loss. Versus Baylor, which is one that they think is confident in, because one thing we saw on Twitter, Baylor has not won in Lubbock in 32 years.
It's true. And there's
nothing not done that.
There's nothing that can say it's not true.
That streak ends. Baylor wins. Yeah. At TCU, it's a tough one. That is an absolute dogfight. But TCU wins it.
Oh,
TCU wins it.
No, you have
Texas Tech beats Kansas because they're not that bad. But then they lose at Iowa State and they lose against Oklahoma. That is a 2-7 conference record. And
3-9.
3-9 finish for the Wreckham Texters.
Yeah, they could be that bad. They could very reasonably.
And, throw a bone to the Tech fans. To me, that's about as bad as it gets. Even with an upset victory over Texas, it could, they could beat West Virginia. They could beat TCU. I think 3-9 is like a bottom out, like for me. If they won 5, I'd still be surprised, not stunned, but I'd be surprised. I don't know who they got.
So I have Texas Tech at a respectable 5-7, 3-6. You, however, have them at 3-9, 3-6. We both have the same conference record. 2-7. 2-7.
Yeah.
So
one win against Murray State.
Cam, I don't know if you noticed this trend or any of the trends at betonline.net. One of our sponsors for Locked On. Betonline.net is where the game starts. You want to go find all your wagering stuff. Spectacular. It's all great. BetOnline.net. You can go spend $100 right now on Baylor's over/under 7.5 wins. Over, obviously, -150 odds. Put $100 on it, and then pee yourself every week for the next 12 weeks. Unrelated to the pick, too. BetOnline.net is just a fun interface to look at. If you want something to do for the next 5 minutes while you're listening to the show, scroll through BetOnline. They have podcasts and stuff, too. Pretty cool place to go. BetOnline.net is where the game starts. Cam, we have Kansas and TCU. If you haven't noticed, for those out there, we are in part 3 of our 4-part series. Part 4 is picking every game on the Baylor schedule. Cam, I've gone in complete order. We did Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. Then we did Texas, Iowa State, and West Virginia yesterday. Today is Texas Tech, Kansas, and TCU. I've gone in the exact order of the conference order in which I think these teams will finish, and we're not going to change there because the 8th team, we're excluding Baylor, that we're going to pick is the Kansas Jayhawks. My Kansas schedule this season for the guys from Lawrence, the number 9 team in the Big 12, is going to get a big victory this Friday against Tennessee Tech. I will not be watching it. I'll be watching the China Spring Cougars. They're going to lose to West Virginia.
So will I, and so will you back at home.
Hey, they're going to lose to West Virginia on the road. They're going to lose to Houston on the road. A Houston team that's wanting to bounce back after a loss to Texas Tech. They're going to beat Duke. Kansas is going to beat Duke. So Kansas now sits at 2-2, feeling good about themselves just to lose to Iowa State, 2-3. Hello, TCU comes to Lawrence. Place gets a little rowdy for an 11 a.m. game, and they win it. They're 3-3. They feel confident they can win at least a couple more, get to 5-7, bowl eligible. They don't win a game again. Oklahoma on the road's a loss. Baylor on the road's a loss. Oklahoma State at home, no siree. Texas Tech on the road, also no, that's a loss. Texas at home, not happening. I'm sorry. And then Kansas State on the road is a huge blowout loss. Those Kansas Jayhawks, fighting as they are, finish at 3-9, 1-8 in Big 12 play. Not going to be the happiest year for our friends in Lawrence and Lance Leopold.
I know we got time to fill, Drake. I know we do. And we can maybe chat some one-hit wonders after this or something, because I'm going to keep this very quick. They win against Tennessee Tech this Friday while we are in Melissa. That's a town, everybody. Take that out of you. Take your brain out of the gutter. They win that one. And they don't taste that sweet taste of victory the rest of the season.
No, don't.
Duke is close.
Please, no.
Duke is close, and then they have another close one in there. They have a Big 12 game that goes to overtime, and it's probably TCU at home, but that is it. That is it. They also have Houston in the out-of-conference on the road.
No.
That's it.
No.
But they win a game. 1-11. Lance Leopold's Kansas Jayhawks. Get you in the basketball season.
Oh, God. You have won a national championship in hoops.
Yeah.
And come back with a 1-11 season. I think they're
hang your hat on that because
they're too good to go 1-11.
Are they though? Are they?
I've heard
they're too good for 1-11.
I've heard murmurs. I've heard there's potential there. We're doing this series.
We've heard that for years
to learn more about other Big 12 schools, and I have learned in my research that Kansas, as good as they were last year, probably, and they went what? 2-10.
There's an ice cream truck going by my house.
Growing.
I wonder if it's this mini.
Hold on. I think I hear it. I didn't hear it.
No, so there is one that comes by my house that's just a minivan that they keep the door open to, which I think is that's cheating. This one is just purely a pedophile van. Not an ice cream truck, as it were, but like a 70s.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that.
Like the grit van, like the PMT grit van.
It's just bad marketing. Really bad marketing.
Yeah, like if I was a parent.
Trucks. Why is there even a truck anyway? You said we had time to kill because you went blazed through the Kansas schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had more descriptors to it. I don't want to label this person, but they might have to put a sign outside their house on Halloween with that truck that they're driving. Probably good to live out of. I would love to live out of a van.
Yeah, just travel the world for a while.
Yeah, not forever, but
now that we've pissed off the 7 Kansas football fans that exist in the world. Sorry, you guys. You're all.
Are Mangino still alive?
A billion. Mangino? Yeah, he's got to still be alive. Big guy.
I mean, he's not in great shape.
Big guy.
I wouldn't be surprised if he died.
So
Charlie Weiss still alive, probably still getting paid by Kansas. Actually, fine. I think he is.
Fine. Kansas at 1-11 for you. They are again very respectable for Kansas. 3-9 for yours truly. Kansas does win at least one Big 12 game, and it's against TCU. So now we pick our final game of this series before we get to tomorrow's show and the Baylor Bears. And now we hit our arch rivals from Fort Worth, which is like the saddest ride. There are a bunch of sad rivalries in the Big 12. This is one of them where it's like, your rivals. Yeah.
I don't like this team. I think it's a rivalry.
It is a rivalry. People just don't care, like the Alabama-Auburn, people don't care, like a BYU-Utah even. There's just not really.
We're never going to get that.
There's not a pageantry around it. There's some rivalries where everybody shows up to the game no matter how bad the teams are. This is not the one. No one's showing up to the TCU game no matter what. It could be good. No one cares. They do win, though. Week 1 against Colorado on Friday. Hello, everybody. If you're going to bet that game, you can. Colorado's just bad. They may be their bottom 3, bottom 5, Power 5 team in the nation this year. Tarleton State, that game's at home. TCU wins that one. The sweet, sweet nectar of victory for the Horned Frogs.
Best purple in Texas after that.
It is.
I mean, they probably couldn't beat UMHB.
No, that would be a good game. Best purple in Texas. It'd be a good game.
UMHB and Mart, and that's it.
Mart also, they moved division. They moved up to division, so they're not as good as they were. Colorado's a win. Tarleton State is a win for TCU. They're 2-0. They're probably ranked top 10 at this point. They feel good about themselves.
Probably, yeah.
Week 3 is a bye. So week 4 is SMU. That game's on the road, and they lose to SMU. By 14. They lose by double digits to SMU. They lose to Oklahoma at home. They play Kansas on the road just to lose that one. Well, wouldn't you know, they're going to lose at home to both Oklahoma State and Kansas State in succession. They haven't won a game in a while. You're thinking to yourself, does this TCU team roll over or did they fight? They do the latter. They lose to West Virginia. The latter? The former. They lose to West Virginia on the road. They lose to Texas Tech at home. They lose to Texas on the road and Baylor on the road. And in the last game of the season at 2-9, trying to sneak in that one little win against Iowa State in Fort Worth. There are 7 people there, and one of them is their athletic director. They lose. 2-10 finish for our Horned Frogs. 0-9 in Big 12 play.
Is this the beginning of a Kevin Steele era?
Yeah,
in Fort Worth. Is that what
I'm
Sonny Dykes becomes?
Very afraid that TCU is not only going to be bad this coming football season, but also be bad for years to come.
All right.
So Cam,
bold, that's bold.
I know you at least have 4 wins on here that I can remember. Your TCU prediction.
This game, week 1, of all the 4 shows we're going to do on this is 3rd of 4. We still got tomorrow, Baylor. All the schedules and all the games I looked at, the longest one probably took a third of the time that it took me to pick this week 1 TCU game. I have no idea. No idea.
No way.
Colorado is bad.
Awful.
But it's at home. It's Sonny Dykes' first game.
Party school.
TCU still wins. But, I don't know. It's going to be 13-10. Colorado's pretty bad, especially offensively.
I think TCU's offense is going to be good. I think TCU's offense is going to be fun. Their secondary solid as well, but that's it. I think their offense is going to put up at least 21 points a game. I think
that's too many good units to be a 2-10 team. Anyway.
But their offense is going to put up 21 points a game because Sonny Dykes, they're going to air the ball out. They're going to get lucky a couple times, but the defense's secondary is going to be good. Good. I like their secondary. Couple of Big 12 preseason guys.
Tarleton, that's a win. Tarleton is the second best team in Stephenville. At SMU, that's a loss.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I'm pretty confident in that one.
Yeah. Versus Oklahoma, that's a loss.
Yes,
that's a loss. At Kansas, I said this is going to be the wild one. If there's no one picks a game to go into overtime. I think that one's going to go into overtime. But TCU wins it on the road. In
but in the first overtime too. It's kind of a sucky, it's the worst version of overtime where it's overtime.
The second half of this game, the stands are going to be way more full. It's going to be like that. Remember OU last year? Kansas almost beat them, and there's messages going around on Twitter just show up. You can walk in. Everybody come now. That's what's going to happen. But TCU's going to win at home against Oklahoma State. All the way back to Monday, if you can think back that far, I picked that to be a TCU upset victory.
You did.
And I'm sticking to it. I have to. Versus Kansas State, that's a loss. And remember, we think it's going to be a big beatdown, big time, embarrassment. We're going to be we're going to have some think pieces what is the state of the TCU program? Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
And when they're good in a decade or so, that's what they'll look back on. At West Virginia, that's a loss.
Yeah.
That's a loss. JT Daniels. Versus Texas Tech. That's a win. At UT. They like beating UT. They don't do it this year. They lose.
Yeah, Gary Patterson.
At Baylor. Who they always play well against.
True. Ish. Yes.
Last year, big mismatch. Baylor on the road. They just fired TCU they just fired Gary Patterson at TCU. Chandler Morris at quarterback. Horned Frogs get a shocking victory. It looks like Baylor's season's over. Far from it, but they always play well against Baylor, Drake. They always play well against Baylor. Nothing to play for. Total house money here. They still lose to Baylor.
How is it close, though?
It's not close. It's not close.
Thanks for setting that story up.
Yeah. Baylor wins at home. I mean, they'll probably beat the spread because at this point, the way I have them and the way I have Baylor, they'll probably be favored by 3 touchdowns. 17 points. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat them by 10.
Yeah.
They're in control. It's not really in doubt, but it's not this total blowout. Against Iowa State, that's a win for TCU. They claw back. They beat Iowa State.
So you have TCU winning. Was that 5?
So I had Tech. I told you at the bottom out. I don't think they go any worse than 3-9.
Yeah.
TCU at 6-6.
6-6 TCU,
which is the best they can be. The best they can be.
That is, I mean, look, I'll give it to you. I will accept it. That's a lot.
That's
a lot for me. Cam, I'm going to give you time to compile yours while I read my current standings in the Big 12 without Baylor picked. There are 9 teams that we have picked. I have Kansas State. Of the 9 teams that are left, Kansas State is number 1 and headed to Arlington at 7-2. Oklahoma State is number 2 and headed to Arlington at 6-3. Mind you, Baylor has not been picked yet. We haven't picked the Baylor games yet, so we don't know if they're going to Arlington. But right now, if it's only 9, it's Kansas State, Oklahoma State, in what I think would be a good game. Oklahoma at 3, 6-3. Texas at 4 at 6-3 as well. So Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, and Texas all at 6-3. Iowa State at the 5 spot, 4-5 in Big 12 play. West Virginia, 4-5 in Big 12 play. Texas Tech, Kansas, and TCU all round things out with the Horned Frogs a whopping 0-9. All of that before tomorrow's show, where we pick every game on the Baylor Bears schedule, both conference and non-conference, and tell you if we think they're headed to Arlington and what their record will be. Cam Marino, what are your Big 12 standings omitting Baylor?
So right now, Arlington, Kansas State, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And I think I don't have the records next to it, but I had Kansas State at 9-3, Oklahoma at 8-4. Texas wins the tiebreaker to get into 4th because they're 7-5, and so is OSU, who is 5th. Then followed by Iowa State, who's also 7-5. West Virginia at 7-6, TCU at 8. Those round out your bowl teams because then 9th is 3-9 Texas Tech, and 10th is 11-1 Kansas.
There it is, Kansas.
Or I should say 9th. 9th is the last one because we haven't picked Baylor yet. No guarantee that they're up at the top. Let's just say that. No guarantee.
Baylor could be last.
Probably not last. If you've done the math and figured out how our picks have gone, probably not last.
Still at least one non-conference game that we could pick pretty interesting, but you have figured out, if you've gone back and through these games, where Baylor's going to land. Speaking of where Baylor's going to land, tomorrow's show, we're going to land in Provo in like 2 weeks. A week and a half, really. Honestly, it's right there. Today's Wednesday, so that's like a week and 2 days. We're going to be in Provo, Utah. So for the folks at home, you will not be in Provo, Utah tomorrow, hopefully. There's not much going on there on a Thursday. There's college football tomorrow, though. A lot of college football games can be very fun. We'll come back tomorrow and pick all the games of Baylor's schedule, 1 through 12. Will they go to Arlington? Will they go undefeated? I've heard people say undefeated. I've heard people say 6-6. I said the floor was 6-6, 5-7 maybe. Where will I pick those Baylor Bears? Where will Cam Marino pick those Baylor Bears? I'm Drake Toll. That's Cam Stewart. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. Thanks for going to betonline.net for us as well. Come back tomorrow for all things controversy. To the Texas fans that are still upset, I am sorry. I don't hope that I'm wrong, but you can. Keep saying my mentions. I won't block you. This has been, and it always will be, Locked On Baylor.